My name's Seem Park, and I'm interviewing Oscar Barrera for We Love Buhai's Oral History Project. Today's date is May 12th, 2018, and the interview is being held at the Globe Hub in Atlanta, Georgia. Oscar, welcome.
Thank you.
We're excited to hear your stories. Let's start with some family background. Can you tell us about where you were born and when?
Sure. I was born in Mexico City, 1989.
And can you tell us about your childhood?
There's not much that I can really remember from Mexico City. It's mostly childhood memories after immigrating to the U.S. I only spent 10 months in Mexico City to where, my father was already in the United States since 1985. He was originally living in California and trying to raise enough money to eventually bring us over, which I don't think it was the initial plan. It wasn't until, I was born that he decided to go back to Mexico City and bring us to the States.
So when did your father immigrate to the States, and did he go by himself?
Yeah, he did. He's from a state in Mexico called Guerrero, which is very agricultural. A lot of the families come from a little bit of money. Most of the work is done outside, farming, raising animals, livestock, chickens, and his father was very strict. So a lot of work was done as a child for him. Since there was a little bit of money where he came from, he first went to Mexico City. Initially, his goal was to become a boxer, a famous boxer, but that didn't go so well with my mother. He would always come home with black eyes, busted lip, and she was like, what, this is not going to work. We need money. So that's when he decided to immigrate to the U.S. by himself. 1985, he was there for a couple years. Just things were rough, I guess. Not enough money because he was by himself. He had to spend money on food, the apartment. Just money wasn't. He wasn't able to save enough money. Eventually, coming back and then coming back for my older sister and myself and my mom.
Yeah. At what age did your father give up his boxing aspirations?
I think he might have been 20, 21. They were really young. They married really young. So
Yeah.
at that point, he knew he just wasn't going to cut it out as a boxer.
Yeah.
With a family.
So let's talk about your parents. Do you know when and how they met?
Yeah, they always like to share those stories with us. They met. They both had to work very early, so they worked at a factory. I think it was Arrow, the shirt company.
Oh.
So they worked at the factory in Mexico. That's where they met. My father really liked my mother. So they tell the story, he would put candy bars in her desk every day. Just drop by her desk, leave her a candy bar, chocolate. And that's how he got her to eventually go out to the movies. Because my mom actually didn't like him at first. She said it, she also came from a strict family. So she knew that her father wouldn't approve of him, especially being from Guerrero.
And could you spell Guerrero?
Yeah, Guerrero.
Okay.
So she knew he wouldn't approve, and it took them a while for my mom to finally give him a chance to go on a date.
So how many pieces of chocolate did your dad have
to... Knowing him, probably a lot. Yeah, he says he really liked her, that he did it almost every day to get her attention.
So how long did they date before they eventually got married?
That I don't have but I'm pretty sure it was a while because her father was really strict.
Yeah.
My father tells a story when they caught walking down the street in Mexico City holding hands, and my grandfather told my mother, "Go home," and he told my dad, "What are you, like, who are you? Why are you holding my daughter's hand?" But they weren't young. They were 18, 19, around that time.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened after that, but as the story goes, he eventually won over my grandfather and my grandmother, and they love him now.
So at At what point
Mhm.
in their relationship did your father decide to immigrate
Mhm.
to the States, and has your mom ever talked about how difficult it was for her to say goodbye to him?
I don't think the difficulty was in Mexico because we come from a big family. My father has two sisters, 7 brothers. She has, if I'm not, 5 brothers and 4 sisters. So it was a pretty big family living in Mexico City. It wasn't the difficulty wasn't there. It wasn't until we actually arrived here in Atlanta
Yeah.
that she felt the hardships of.
Yeah, but did she miss him when he immigrated to?
I believe so. I
the
think
US?
so. I mean, I can't imagine her being without the person that she loved.
Yeah.
For even I think it might have been 3 years that he was gone.
Yeah. So he was in the U.S. for a
Mhm.
few years. Did he go to the U.S. to meet someone he knew? Did he have any
Mhm.
established relationships?
No, that's the amazing part of his. I guess at that point in his life that he came alone. In his town where he was from, you would hear stories of men who would cross the border, and some were lucky enough to bring back money. Some just stay there. You would never hear from them. And as he says, it's like, oh no, so and so went and came back with a lot of money. Maybe we should all go.
So his decision to go to the
Mhm.
States was to create a
Mhm.
better, brighter future for
And
his family, or
I think the first plan was just to bring enough money back,
Yeah.
to hopefully start something.
Yeah.
I don't think the idea was for us to actually move to the U.S. at first.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I guess my sister and myself were born that he said, you know what, let's move to the U.S. and
Yeah.
see what we make of it.
So when he first got to the States, you said he ended up in California.
Yeah, California.
What did he do there?
In California, I think he did construction. He had a couple of. He worked at a taqueria. He held a lot of jobs. It just wasn't enough money.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, he had to rent a room with a bunch of other men, and just money wasn't coming in fast enough.
Yeah.
So the first try, it wasn't as successful.
Yeah. Does he talk to you about those years?
Oh yeah, especially he loves to talk about them with us, kind of to get us to, as kids, to value what we had and why we didn't have things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Is there a story that he seems to tell over and over about that time?
I mean, he has a lot of stories. I think if it's one story that he likes to tell, it's basically how he didn't give up. Even though the money wasn't coming in, he still went out to work every day, whatever he could find.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he was in California for
Mhm.
for a few years,
Mhm.
and then he eventually made his way to Atlanta.
No. When the money wasn't coming in, my mother was like, it's not working. Just come back. The kids are getting older.
Yeah.
She eventually missed him, and she said, come back. He came back. He was there for a little bit, and then he said, you know what? Let's all go back together. And my mother said, this time we're gonna save money. Like we're gonna figure out a way, but we're gonna save money, and come back. And it was then that he said, you know what? Not California. There's a lot of gangs there. The rent is expensive. There's not that many jobs. I've heard of Atlanta, a place in Georgia. There's not a lot of Hispanics there, but I hear, he says he hears there's a lot of work. So we immigrate to California. We lived there for a couple of months in Anaheim. And the story that he likes to tell is that when we arrived, he only had $100. And with those $100, he took us to Disney World or Disneyland.
Disneyland
In California. I have pictures of our time there. And with those $100, that's all he had. He took us there, kind of to show my mom, the U.S. is great. Look.
Yeah.
And that's the story he likes to tell us over and over. With those $100.
So how old were you at the time?
10 months, 9 months.
Okay, so you don't remember.
I don't, just from the pictures, from when I see the pictures,
Yeah.
because my parents they were great parents. I mean, they loved to capture everywhere we went. Hey, Oscar, turn around.
Yeah.
And all I heard is and I'm like, oh. So I feel like from all the pictures that we have, I mean, we have dozens and dozens of albums at home that, I mean, I feel like, I can remember what happened just because of the pictures that they collected over the years.
So you guys were in Anaheim
Mm-hmm.
for a few months.
About a few months. I think close to 3 months, maybe.
And then you made your way over
to Atlanta. Mm-hmm.
And have your parents talked to you about what that experience was like, moving from California to
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta?
Yeah, eventually we moved into, with the three of us, my parents and her brother. It was 3 adults now. I think that's why they were able to save up enough money in Anaheim that we moved to Atlanta. We moved into an apartment, Cumberland Court Apartments in Chamblee.
Okay.
So I might have a picture where, I mean, it's empty.
Yeah.
It was empty for many months. The furniture that we did get, we didn't buy. We found that maybe someone else was throwing away, or a donation pile. It's funny. There's a story that I'll tell you later on where we thought back then. I don't know if there, Goodwill, if it's at Goodwill, but there used to be these trailers where people would just drop stuff off. And as an immigrant, you don't know what it is. You've never seen this in your home, so you're thinking free stuff. I guess my parents would go and get. That's how we started to accumulate our furniture.
Yeah.
The table, the TV, the mattress. Eventually, we started to build our little apartment.
That's great. So how you were about a year at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and how long was the family at Cumberland Court Apartments?
Oh, we lived there up until I was like 6 or 7. So, yeah, we had a lot of memories there. We started our story there from blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have anything.
Yeah. So you remember?
Oh yeah.
Living there.
Yeah.
What do you remember best about it?
I remember a lot. I mean, it was good times. Playing outside with 30 neighbors every single day. I mean, it was in a time where you could be 3 years old and your mom would let you just roam the neighborhood. Now I have a 3-year-old. There's no way I would let her outside. It's a different time. It's I think the kids were a little bit more street smarter back then. You would see 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds just roaming the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And your kids were safe because there was 30 other kids with them.
And how old were your siblings at the time?
My sister, we're 2 years apart, so she had to have been 3.
Okay, so she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the oldest?
No, she's older than me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how many siblings do you have?
I have 4.
4, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And can you give me their, where you are?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're all 2 years apart. So
okay.
My older sister, I'm 29, she's 31.
Okay.
And then I have another sister, Berlin. She's what is she now? 27.
Okay.
And the other one is just turned 15.
Okay.
And I also have a. Sorry, it's like now that we're older, the age. What is she? How old is she? 25 maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
We're really close. Sorry, I'm just the ages get me.
Oh, it's
all I think about is my kid's age now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all 2 years apart.
And how big was this apartment at Cumberland Court?
Just 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
And for a very long time, we actually just slept on the floor with 3 comforters.
Yeah.
For the cushion.
Yeah.
And we shared that room with my parents for many years.
Yeah.
My uncle, I think he slept in the other room. So we spent a lot of time together. I think that's why we're so close now.
Yeah. So your uncle had his own room in
Yeah.
his 2-bedroom place.
Yeah. He was a teenager at the time, so I think they wanted to give him his space, and he helped with the rent as well. He also worked where my dad worked. He worked, so I think it was fair.
So
He was my mother's younger brother.
okay. So how did your father and your uncle find work, and what did they do?
So for many years, from what I gather, they worked at restaurants as dishwashers, cook's assistants. They worked in construction, landscaping, to eventually settling in the restaurant industry. My father is a really hard worker. The way he says, he started off, as a dishwasher, but eventually gained the trust of the chef, to where the chef would sometimes leave them in charge, and also teach him the recipes. Pretty much working his way up in each restaurant. He's worked in a couple iconic restaurants here in Atlanta. They don't exist no more, but he's worked at the Cheesecake Factory. He's worked at J. Paul's. He's worked at California Pizza Kitchen, 103 West before it was just an event hall, and a couple others that I can't remember right now. But
Yeah.
he worked really hard and coming up through the ranks in the kitchen.
Was there someone in his life who played a big role in giving him opportunities to learn more about the restaurant industry?
If he does, I don't think he's talked to us about it. I think just his work ethic kind of surprised his employers, and maybe in his mind, I'm pretty sure he has somebody that gave him those opportunities, but he hasn't told me.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure because of his work ethic, his employers must have seen something in him and trusted him enough to let him rise up in the ranks in the kitchen.
Yeah. And what's your mom doing during this time?
Babysitting and babysitting other people's children and us, taking care of us. Like she said, she came here to work, and any way that she could, she raised money, babysitting, taking care of other kids. That's how she made her money.
Yeah.
At one point I can remember up to like 6 or 7 kids in our tiny little apartment.
So you had like a miniature daycare in your apartment? Okay.
Yeah, and that was her way of, helping my father to provide.
Yeah. And this is at Cumberland Court?
Cumberland Court, yes.
Yeah. So after Cumberland Court, where did y'all end up?
We moved to Brookhaven Station.
Okay.
That is I think that might still be Shalford Road.
Okay.
If not too far from there. But I don't have too many memories there. Like, all my memories were really at Cumberland Court. Like, that's pretty much where I learned everything. I experienced everything. It's pretty much all my childhood memories come from that area.
Yeah. Do you have memories of going to school at that age?
Yeah. Yeah, we went to, my oldest sister and myself, we both went to Dresden Elementary.
Okay.
Many memories there on the bus home, just playing after school.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of memories there as kids.
Yeah. So, you were essentially a native English speaker. Did you speak Spanish in the home?
Yes, we spoke Spanish primarily. Actually went through the ESOL program.
Okay.
Great. English, I guess I didn't catch on to English enough,
Yeah.
So my teachers, at their recommendation, they're like, place them into ESOL.
Me too. I'm an ESOL kid.
Yeah, proud of it. I think I struggled a little bit with numbers, maybe sentences, and so I was placed in the ESOL program. My sister was also, but she kind of graduated. She's smarter, so she school was easy for her.
Yeah. That's great. And where did you attend for middle school and high school?
At this time, we actually, our feeder school was Sequoia. but my parents didn't want us to go to Sequoia. It was Henderson, their choice. So we went to Henderson. My sister went to Tucker. High school, we both went to Lakeside High School.
Okay.
She did a semester at Tucker High School.
Yeah, that's great. Looking back to your school years, was there a teacher that had a big influence on you?
I think I would say not a teacher, but maybe my football coach. I played football for Lakeside High School, and his name was Coach Harris. He was really strict and hard on us, but now, as an adult, you can see why, and it's some of the values that I still have in myself. Where I work, some of the things that I think back that he taught me that I think kind of shaped me into the man that I am today.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was influential in my life.
Is he still at Lakeside?
No. He retired my senior year. I think he's probably living the life now in Florida somewhere, probably. He deserved it.
Did you ever have a chance to tell Coach Harris how important of a figure he was in your life?
No, the last day he didn't really outright tell the football players that he was going to retire. We kind of just heard it through the other faculty, but I wanted to tell him how much him being a coach to me was being Hispanic, being on the football team. He never singled me out. He always let me prove myself. He recognized that I was trying, that I never missed practice. So I went to go knock, but I kind of I was like, maybe he might not even care. Yeah. So I just left, and I never got to tell him.
So you just mentioned that he didn't treat you any differently because you were Hispanic.
Right.
What was the demographics of Lakeside around that time, and what was it like being a Hispanic student?
Lakeside, I think primarily, what was it? Mostly, white students, followed by African American, and then Asian, and then a small group of Latinos. It was a good school. I really enjoyed my 4 years there. The football, you didn't really see a lot of Hispanics in the football team, as you would in Cross Keys, when we played them, where it was evident and, they had a role. So for me, at that time being the only Hispanic, I really felt included in his team. He really, as a freshman, there was a game that I wasn't able to go to. They won, I think they had qualified to maybe the playoffs. He went and tracked me down and actually let me sign the game ball, even though I wasn't there. I was only a freshman. Another person could have said, he didn't go to the game. Why? But I guess he knew that I was going to be part of the program for 4 years. So that meant a lot to me, being a freshman and being able to put my name on school history, even though I didn't play. So he was a great guy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
He sounds like an amazing coach and mentor.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Yeah. Were your parents supportive of you playing football?
No, not at first. I think they wanted me to play soccer. But I was, I grew up here, so football and basketball was kind of the two sports that stuck out to me at a young age. Soccer, I liked soccer, but I think primarily just basketball and football.
Yeah.
I like soccer now, but,
So while you're at Lakeside, did you find yourself spending a lot of time with the other Latino students, or was it, did all the different races mix pretty well?
No, all the races mix pretty well, but I think, naturally you kind of move towards people like you where you feel comfortable. So, yeah, I think I was in the Latino crowd.
Yeah.
But, because I played football, I had friends from all nationalities.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, once you graduated, what did you decide to do? Where'd you end up?
For me, school was kind of on the back burner for many years.
Yeah.
I started out at Kennesaw State, but for some reason I've always wanted to work. I went after to work in internships and marketing, and I kind of wanted to bypass college and then just go straight into working into marketing or sales, but I knew that it wasn't gonna happen. Eventually, I ended up at Georgia Gwinnett College. My sister, she graduated from Georgia State. My other sister, she's actually still working towards her degree. Both of them, actually. So I think at this time, only me and my older sister are the ones who graduated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your relationship with your siblings.
Oh man, it's amazing. For many years when we were younger, it was just us. We didn't have cousins and uncles. He had brothers here, but they were all spread out throughout the U.S. and that our parents always taught us to be so close. Like when you see the pictures, I mean, you can tell that we were really close. It's just how we were raised. It was just us. We went through good times. We went through bad. We experienced a lot. We experienced success, failure, as a family. So,
would you be willing to share some of the bad times, and then we can then talk about the good times?
Yeah. So maybe not the bad, but I can really remember some of the struggles that we've had, from having to wear hand-me-down clothes. We didn't know this at first. I've said this many times before that, we didn't have the nicest clothes, we didn't have the nicest shoes, but we didn't know that because that's all we had. And when I look at the pictures, I get sad because I was like, my parents really tried. We didn't have everything, but if you look at the pictures, we were really happy. So it was, we struggled, but we had a happy childhood. So
yeah. Were your parents involved in your lives?
Oh yeah.
Were they around?
Yeah, they worked a lot. I mean, they really worked a lot, but we didn't have a lot of money. But I mean, if you look at our albums, they made sure to take us out. We have a lot of pictures: Stone Mountain Park, Whitewater, Six Flags, Lake Lynn. I mean, it's like, how did you even find out about all these places? They worked a lot, and we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, even though they did work a lot, they somehow found a way to let us experience life.
Yeah.
If it was even just going to the park, or I have a lot of memories of just me and my mom heading to downtown on the MARTA, and that was fun for me.
Yeah.
Spending time with my mother.
What made her want to hop on MARTA and take you downtown?
Well, she comes from Mexico City. I mean, that's normal. You hop on the city and you hop on the train and you're in the city. So she went through a time where she missed her family and she was just sad. So her method of coping with everything, not being close to her sisters, her mom, her dad, hop on MARTA and to kind of distract herself, just see the buildings and to just get her mind off of missing her family so much.
Yeah.
We didn't have a car. We didn't have we didn't have family here. We didn't have a support system. So
do you have any vivid memories of going downtown? Mm-hmm. And anything funny happened down there with the two of you?
No, all the memories I have is just me and her on the train. I'm pretty sure we got lost, but she would have told me, how here I am a child, how can I help her?
Yeah.
But I mean, eventually she learned how to ride, and I mean, she would at just any moment we get the stroller, put me in, and off to downtown. Yeah. You imagine crossing Buford Highway with the stroller, and then just making our way to MARTA. Yeah.
And how did you know that she was missing home? Did she talk about it?
Yeah, she did. She did. She she did talk to us about it. You know, when we got older, we didn't know because she was still she was a good mother. She did, you know, she was babysitting other kids and still working. But eventually, when we got older, she did say, you know, it was hard. Kind of her way of telling us, look, you know, life wasn't easy, and she wanted us to know that. We're like, we know, we saw, like we lived it too, but she wanted to kind of share her story with us. That it was really difficult for her to move to an area where she didn't know anybody. I mean, at that time, there weren't that many Hispanic families. Like, eventually the wave did come, but at the beginning, there wasn't that many, you know, friends to lean on, and so it was difficult for her.
So what was her support network at the time?
I don't think she had one. Maybe the few letters that she got from her family that, you know, I miss you, or, you know, can't wait to see you again. Maybe that was it. Because we do have letters from our family members where, you know, they still remember, you know, I used to write to Cumberland Court, to your mom, I remember. I think that was probably it.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time where the family was in really in a very difficult spot, and someone, whether it was a stranger or a family member, came to the rescue, so to speak?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult because if we ever did, my parents did a good job of not bringing us into it. So if there was, only they would know. They did a really good job of sheltering us, you know. We didn't have money. We might have been going through it, but, you know, we had a happy childhood. Yeah. We surely didn't know about it.
Yeah. Were there ever times where you and your sisters wanted to do something, and you realized that your parents didn't have the means, and how did they explain that to you guys?
We don't have money. No. It goes back to just kind of, we didn't know what else was out there besides Buford Highway. I mean, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
We didn't know that, you know, that all these theme parks existed outside of our neighborhood. We didn't know, I guess, whatever kid brand shoes people wanted at that time. I mean, we were happy. Like, I know this, I have this funny story. It goes, there was where the farmer's market is, there used to be like a big semi, like a trailer. Where,
so you're referring to the Buford Highway Farmers Market?
Yeah, before it was a farmer's market. I can't remember what it was back then in the early 90s. We used to get our clothes. We didn't know it was a donation. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have. My parents probably thought it was just people throwing away stuff. And we would go there, get our clothes from there. And it's a funny story where eventually, you know, they would always say, don't get off, don't get off just stay in the stroller and we'll pick through the clothes. Eventually, I found a shirt that had a tiger paw on it. So I was like, you know, this looks cool. Like, I want this. Like, you know, I was so proud of my shirt. And it's funny because I could read, but I guess just because of the tiger paw, you know, it might have been a cougar paw. It was so cool to me that I kind of bypassed the words, which said Penn State cheer team or cheer squad. So I have a story, you know, I was standing in line and these two older kids were like, they're like, do you know what that means? I'm like, no. They're like, do you know what are you part of the cheer squad? And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And, you know, they started laughing. And then eventually, when I got older, I was like, oh my God, I was wearing a cheer squad shirt. They must have thought I was weird. But it was a cool shirt for me. I have a lot of pictures wearing it.
So you actually liked the shirt and you
because
wore
of
a bunch.
Because of the paw. I didn't know what a cheer squad. I mean, here I am, a kid from Buford Highway. What is a cheer squad?
Right.
We don't have that on Buford Highway. And it took a while for someone to point it out to me. It's like, hey, it might be a girl shirt or.
Yeah. Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
So you said that there was a period where you guys didn't have a car.
Yeah, we didn't have a car.
So how did you all get around?
Just walking, stroller. Eventually, my father did buy a car I have pictures of it as well.
So how old were you when the family got its first car?
Might have been like 2 or 3, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it took us a while to get a car.
Yeah.
But it was mainly my father's to get from, because he worked 3 jobs.
Okay.
So I think he was only at home for like maybe a couple hours to rest, and then he'd be back at his second job, and then just work around the clock for many years.
So can you describe his schedule around that time?
I mean, I rarely saw my father during the day. The only time I would see my father was on the weekends, and then maybe if I got up to use a bathroom at like midnight, he'd be home for like 3 hours, and I would see them having dinner. My father would bring back food from the restaurant to my mother, and I would see them having dinner that late.
So what time would he get up? Where would he go? And then where would he go next?
Yeah,
where would he go after that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty sure from what my mother tells me, he would come home at like 11, 12 o'clock at night, sleep for maybe 3 hours and be back at the restaurant as early as 5 or 6 o'clock. And then if he did come during the day, it was probably like maybe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But, I don't really remember. So his schedule, he always worked a lot. It was, I really can't remember, which restaurants he alternated with, but he was always working from what I remember.
So was there a point in time where his schedule eased up and he had more time to spend with y'all?
I think maybe it was when he finally switched over. We eventually made friends with neighbors in the back. Their parents installed carpet. My father went with the parents to learn how to install carpet. Eventually, that's when their schedule eased up. They still got home maybe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but it was a lot better than working around the clock.
And how old were you when he moved into that?
I want to say maybe 4.
Okay.
Around 4.
So as you got older, did his schedule continue improving?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Things got a little bit better. I got to see my father. We had breakfast with him, lunch. He would also take me to work as well when I was a kid. His father was strict on him, so he kind of wanted me to learn the value of $1. So it's funny because I didn't start getting paid. We have the business now. We have the bakery, and then we have the tortas factory, which is tortas and tacos on Buford Highway. I didn't start getting paid till I was 18. So, and I worked there for a while. So
you said you started getting paid at 18.
At 18.
At what point did he start taking you to work?
Well, as a kid, I was always with him. He wanted me to kind of learn how to install carpet as well, but he was just kind of showing me, this is the value of $1. This is what people do every day to make it work. Because his father was hard on him, he wasn't hard on me. He was just wanting me to see, this is what it takes. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you're gonna have to do this.
Did you enjoy going with him on those work trips?
At the beginning, I did. It kind of, once I got older, it was more like a punishment. Like if I did something during the week at school, he used it as a punishment. So that's when it turned into like, you know what? I don't like this anymore. Can I just stay home?
So when you say punishment, he would take you and put you to work?
Not like, it sounds bad when you say put you to work, but he would be like, you know what? You're coming to work with me. And he would instruct me in like, this is how we do this, but it's a kid trying to do a man's job. You don't get it. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I guess eventually he wanted me to learn, but I just never learned.
So, what does your father do now?
He alternates between the restaurant and the bakery.
Okay.
Mhm.
And which restaurant is this?
Tortas Factory.
Okay.
It's in the same plaza as the bakery.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great. Um, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your memories of um, Buford Highway and growing up in this area. Um, what are your earliest memories of Buford Highway?
As a child, spending time at the flea market. I mean, I was 4 or 5. As you know, with the other kids, we'd go down to the flea market and go to the gas station. Just playing soccer, playing in the tennis court. I mean, you had like a bunch of friends there. I mean, I just remember having a lot of fun when I was a kid. You know, I mean, we didn't really need anything because you had 30 other kids. We lived next to another apartment. I can't remember the name now, but you know, those kids would come over and play. So I mean, it's basically just a really good childhood.
Yeah.
That I can remember.
So where is this? Where was this flea market?
Where it's, I don't know if you know where the Bank of America is now.
Yeah.
Right across. It's a supermarket now, but it used to be a flea market there. Yeah, a lot of times are spent there.
I've spent time there.
Yeah.
When it was a flea market.
Yeah,
as well.
it's sad that it's not there no more, but you know.
Yeah.
Things change.
So what else do you remember about Buford Highway as a kid?
With my mother and my sisters, I mean, going to the supermarket called El Valu Foods across that. Just, you know, here's my mother with like 8 bags of groceries, milk, eggs, and three children. Because at that time my sister was already born, my youngest. I can just imagine her, you know, pushing the stroller across all 3 Buford Highway lanes. And that's special to me because that was, you know, time I spent with my mother.
Yeah.
We didn't have a car, and it's amazing to see what she did, what she went through to provide, you know, for us.
Yeah.
She could have just said, you know what, I can't go, but.
So how long of a walk was it to get back?
I mean,
home?
Maybe because it was us 3 and we had the stroller, I would say about 20 minutes, 25 maybe.
Okay.
It was. I mean, the Cumberland Court Apartments wasn't a far walk from Buford Highway. It was our backyard was Buford Highway basically.
Yeah.
So at most it might have been 30 minutes, I think, walking, you know. And that's because, you know, we would always stop to play. My mom was, you know, if we found something, a playground on the way, she'd let us stop.
So you said you mentioned playing soccer and playgrounds. Where were these fields and where was this playground?
Yeah, and in Cumberland Court we had I guess it was a tennis court. It might have been a pool at some point, but they covered it, turned it into like a flat surface, and kids would play soccer there. There was a sandbox that might have been part of the pool at one point. They covered it with sand. Basically that's where we did most of our playing as kids. Played soccer, rode our bikes there.
Did you have a best friend growing up?
I might have had a couple, and I don't really keep in contact with them, but I do. I had a couple. I have a couple pictures in here. I might have still have them on Facebook.
Okay.
And but I have a couple. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So.
My sister as well. I mean, she made a lot of good friends too. That she still keeps in contact with them. She writes back to them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point in time did you know that Buford Highway was a place that you could make a living?
It probably wasn't until I got older, because like you think about it, you know, you're a kid. Other people might say, well, you know, they're from Buford Highway, they might not have much, but you don't know that. You don't feel that. So I mean, I didn't notice until maybe I got older that you kind of see this is a place where immigrants come to make it. That you start to notice, you notice a lot of immigrants, and you see a lot of shops and restaurants from all over the world.
Yeah, you mentioned going to some like a flea market and an Hispanic
Yeah, at that time it
grocer.
was, yeah.
Were there businesses owned by people from other cultures that you went to often?
I'll be honest, I can't really remember. I think at that time it might have been mainly Hispanic
Yeah.
that we visited. Yeah, there was a restaurant on, like, not too far from the apartments that was, it might have been Chinese. You could see them, but you don't know, as being from Mexico, you've never seen those type of restaurants, so especially as a kid, you wouldn't go inside them, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So growing up, was there a go-to restaurant on Buford Highway that you and your family always went to?
Yeah, Old Country Buffet, Pine Tree Plaza. I think that was like the staple for every immigrant family. When we can afford it, we would go there.
Yeah.
That was like our first. Yeah.
And you liked it?
Oh yeah, they had like the best selection of everything, cakes and desserts. Yeah, that was a spot.
But if you wanted really good, let's say Mexican food, where would y'all go?
Home. I mean, we didn't have money to to have those luxuries to say, hey, let's go such and such place. It wasn't. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was food at home. It wasn't really going out much.
Yeah. Who was the cook at home?
Both my parents.
Okay.
Till this day, they still both cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they make fish, one person seasons the salmon, the other person might make the vegetables and the mashed potatoes or something.
Yeah.
But it's they both do it now.
What are some of your favorite meals that they would make?
As a kid?
Yeah.
I mean, everything. I think my mom, she always tried to feed us healthy food. I love her cooking. Just rice and beans, steak, chicken. I mean, she really, like, as a kid, she would feed me like adult portions. So, her food was good. I remember because we used to have these big glass plates that she would feed me in, and I would eat it up as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain. So pretty much everything that she made for me as a kid, I loved.
If you had to ask your parents to make you just one thing, what would it be?
I love my mom's lasagna, but she didn't learn to make it until later in life. At first it was just rice and beans. Yeah. But when we kind of started to assimilate, she picked up on ribs and lasagna. So her lasagna is pretty good. I love it. Mm-hmm.
Is there a traditional Mexican dish from Mexico City or Barrera that you're fond of?
Sopes. She really makes some really good sopes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite dish from her.
And describe what that dish is.
It's like a fried tortilla where they put beans, lettuce, cheese, sour cream, and then topping chicken or steak.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite dish. Like, I'll take that over anything.
Yeah.
Any day. It's coming from her, yeah.
And is there a special recipe that you're aware of, or is
I wouldn't know. I think it's just love. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just love.
It's the best ingredient.
Yeah.
That's great. So, you had mentioned a bakery and a restaurant. Can you tell us about your businesses and how they came about?
Sure. My father was getting tired of working in carpet installing. It was a time, 2006, where the economy started to kind of slow down a bit. People just weren't working as much. I don't think that the financial crisis had hit yet, but if there was any group of people that felt it, not the most, but maybe at the beginning, it was immigrants.
And why do you say that?
I mean, well, it's most of the people, they don't have social security numbers to work. If there's no, if there's no work coming in, I think immigrants were the first people to get hit, If people aren't, who buys the houses? Americans do. If no one's buying houses, we can't build them. For my father, when he installed carpet, I remember he would have to go from company to company, and at one point it just wasn't making any sense. He'd drive all the way to Carrollton to do to get work, and he'd come back with nothing. And it just got to a point where he was like, what, this isn't working. People just aren't buying enough houses like they used to. They're not installing carpet. Oh, it's spring break, let's take out the old carpet and put in new. It just wasn't working anymore. And he didn't want that schedule. He said he was getting tired, and he eventually they started looking for a space to open a restaurant. We started looking in areas like Forsyth, Alpharetta, Roswell. We've looked at some places here when we were kids, and it just didn't work out. But in 2006, my father was like, what, this is, I don't want to work in carpet anymore. So he talks to us. He says, look, your mother and I, we want to start a business. And, we're like, oh, yeah, let's do it. What are we going to do? Like, my sisters were excited. And they're like, look, we want to open a bakery. At that point, and where we are now, there was no other bakery. He said, we want to open a bakery with good bread, good customer service for that area. So he says, look, we're going to take our money, we're going to open the bakery, and if it's successful, then, then it's successful. But if it fails, we'll start over. And my mother said, it's not the first time that we'll start over, but this time we'll do it together. And so we found that Power Plaza, it used to be, if I'm not mistaken, Goodyear. They tore it down and eventually built the plaza, and we started the bakery there. I remember it was really empty. At first, we had a little selection of bread. I have pictures where it's just empty.
Well, before we even get into the specifics of the bread, so it sounds like your parents really tried to sell you and your sisters on the
because
business.
You think about it, they took their essentially they're taking their savings and putting it towards the business. If it fails, it's, hey guys, it's this could happen. And we all said, yeah, like we knew how serious it could be. If we failed, it would be, we even talked about it, my sisters and I. We were like, we're all gonna have to start working. But I think we got caught up in having a business that I guess it didn't matter because we had each other.
And did your parents approach you and your sisters and let y'all know that we would like for you to work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they told us, they were like, if we open this, we all need to work, and we need to know that you guys are with us. And we said, yeah, we'll work.
Did any of your sisters have any hesitation, or were they all on board?
No, we were all on board. Yeah, we all knew we had to pitch in.
Yeah. And how did your parents react to hearing that you guys were okay with it?
I think they got reassured because, they can work, but, it's not just a two-person. We were there at the beginning. I can remember we were there from till 12 o'clock at night because we didn't know how to run a business. We didn't, when we came to the States, we didn't have a blueprint of how to make it in the U.S. It was just all, done on the fly. It was just, from my parents' hard work. So, they have, my father's mother, she ran a little counter in their market. She sold, Mexican food and His uncle had a bakery, but we didn't come from a family of business owners and, you know, rich people. So, I mean, we kind of all learned together. My mother's father owned a store in Mexico, but eventually, you know, things got rough and he didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
He sold bread on the street, but it wasn't, you know, we didn't come here with a blueprint how to make it,
Yeah.
you know.
So, tell me about how
Mhm.
you guys landed on that spot on Buford Highway, and this is
Mhm.
what's the cross street?
Buford Highway and McElroy Road.
Okay.
I guess just from driving around looking at different spaces that would work, we saw, well, my parents, he was the first one to see the opportunity there. You know, there was a lot of Hispanics in that area, you know, the apartments, the houses, the school, Oak Cliff, which was, you know, it was, you know, where a lot of Hispanic students would attend. We just saw the opportunity there. There was no other bakery as a threat. You know, we all said, you know, if it works, it's gonna work. And I think deep down they knew it was gonna work because, you know, you don't open a business to sell mediocre food or mediocre product. You open it because you want to offer the best to your customers. And I mean, we even flyered all the apartments, we flyered all the townhomes, the houses. Whoever listened to us, hey, we're gonna open up a bakery, such and such date, fresh bread, we're gonna bake it twice a day, and family owned. And you know, the first couple of days we weren't sure that anyone was gonna come, but eventually, you know, we started getting, you know, a small amount of customers.
Do you remember the day the store opened?
Oh yeah.
What was it? What was it like?
In the morning, you know, we were still in high school, so we were just thinking the whole day. We were like, oh my God, you know, are they okay? Are people even coming in? So me and my sister were just like, you know, I can't wait till the bell rings so that we can go and see. And yeah, we got there, it was empty. Nobody. I think people, you know, we've been in business for about 12 years now, going on 12, so we kind of know that, especially with the Hispanic community, the community won't support you until they kind of see everyone else supports you. So it took us a while for us to get customers. You know, my parents, they kind of started introducing more products. You know, we started to sell coffee. We started to sell little Mexican breakfast items, tamales, gorditas, to kind of get the people. We opened in the summer, actually, which is like one of the slowest times for a bakery because, you know, in the summer, nobody wants to have hot coffee and bread. You know, it's mostly for the winter. So that was like one of the toughest things to do, to open a business, you know, in the summer. Mm-hmm. But we stuck it out, and then we had a really good winter our first year. People really started to support us. The community really, they sold into what we were buying, and we were very lucky.
Was there ever a point in those first few months where the business was slow, where everyone in the family looked at each other and said, what are we doing?
I'm sure it was like that, but like I said, my parents, they've always sheltered us to not, you know what, it's not working here, deal with it yourself as well. I'm sure, keep in mind also my father was still installing carpet. He didn't just completely, so it's funny because at that time, the money that he was bringing in from carpeting was actually keeping the business running. And he didn't leave it until, you know, it started, I think until a year. My father's always been a hard worker. I mean, he also sold, you know, the bakery's tamales to the company where he worked. You know, all the carpet installers would buy, you know, the tamales that my mom would make. And it was only $50, but that was $50 towards the business to keep it going.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there was any doubt, I think, you know, they kind of did a good job of not letting us know. I mean, we did open in the summer, so that's...
So you talked about putting flyers all over local apartments. What else did you and your sisters do for the business early on to try to get it up and running?
I mean, you think about, if there was Facebook or Instagram, there wasn't it. I mean, there might have been, I think Facebook existed maybe, but we didn't know, I mean, you don't know how to use Facebook. We told our friends in high school, like, hey, my parents, church, we told our, the church that we attended, we own a business, we just opened, selling Mexican bread. It's fresh, baked twice a day. Just word of mouth. And then when we were there after school, we tried our best to give like the best customer service. We don't have a lot to offer because we just opened, but we're gonna make sure they want to come back.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the role that we played in the beginning.
So who was the master baker, and where did all these recipes come from?
My father, he got in contact with his family members in Mexico and said, hey, I need recipes. Can you please send them over? And he got a hold of some recipes, but my father wasn't content. So he kind of started experimenting. And then at that time, we had enough to hire 2 bakers. And between those 2 bakers, my parents, they kind of came up with the recipes that we use now. He has a book of all the recipes of pretty much all the breads that we make now. Do
you have any funny recipe stories? Just big failures?
Oh yeah. When he started, bread would come out flat. Some of it would burn, and we're just sitting there like between me and my sisters, we're like, dude, this is not gonna sell. But we didn't let him know that. We were just like, yeah, it's good. Like, we like it. But we learned through trial and error, and I mean, the bread that we make now, it's really good. It's a product that we all feel proud to stand behind.
Yeah. So you would tell your parents that the bread was good even when it wasn't?
When it wasn't, yeah. Yeah, it's some things that you do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point in time did you and your family realize that this is going to work? There are enough people showing up. This is a viable business.
It took us a while because, like I said, the Hispanic community, it takes them a while for someone to support, your business, because they want to see other people support it, but they're like, oh, it might be good. Let's support it. I think one of the low periods was we had a couple customers who would come in and say, you know what, it's like, I don't think you guys are going to make it. You guys aren't going to sell enough. You guys are going to be shut down within a couple of months. But, we didn't listen to that.
Why did they feel the need to?
I have no idea. I think it just goes back to where they won't support you until they see other people support you. And we've never, my mother, she's actually the one who received that comment when she was alone while we were at school, and she always, my mom's not the type to like, what did you say? Like, say it to my face or whatever. She tells a story where she says, when I received that comment, I said, you know what? That's when I realized that no matter what happened, we weren't going to give up. And she says, like, look, in her mind, she said, I'm going to show you, and to this day, she says she's still a customer. She came back and said, you know what? I apologize. She's like, I said that and it was a mistake. She's still a customer to this day.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. And she supports, and they're friends now.
Do you still have some of the original customers from 06
coming
back to the bakery?
Oh, yeah. Like, families, like, they still continue to support us. They're a big reason of why we opened up the restaurant in the first place. This year, we opened in December 2017. They're one of the big reasons that we decided to go for another 12 years. They would always say, we love your bread, we love, what you guys sell in the morning, but, we kind of want something else. Why don't you guys sell food? And then some of the guys, they're workers, some of them don't have families, some of them don't have someone to cook for them. So they would say, you know, like, sell food, like, you know, we'll come and buy it, like, sell food. And we you know, we're like, you know, it's, you kind of have to, what are we gonna do? You know, make the space bigger, ask the owner if we can, you know, make it bigger, or, and we said, you know what, let's go for another 12 years. And we ended up opening up the second restaurant. Oh, well, it's a restaurant, so I guess second location.
Yeah. So, what's the name of the restaurant and where is it located?
Tortas Factory, which is on the same shopping plaza as the bakery.
Okay.
Mhm.
And did y'all have a similar family powwow about let's do this together?
Definitely, because I mean, with a restaurant, it's like you talking about a different monster. We employ close to 25, maybe 28 employees. So you're gonna need more human power. So, you know, it was like something serious. It's like, you know, we're gonna do this, but we need, now that you guys are adults, like, we really need you guys to step in whichever way you can. And it was pretty much the same huddle. Like, you know what, if we do this, we need you guys' commitment. You know, we know you guys are in school or went to school and you kind of might want to do your own thing, but they're like, you know, we need to do this again. And we all agreed. We were like, yeah, like, how cool would it be to own a restaurant and, you know, have other people try the food that we've had for years.
So where did these recipes come from?
Oh, my mom, my dad, just kind of mixing everything that my dad learned at the restaurants, their recipes. I mean, we went through a lot of trial and error at the home. We made tacos, we made tortas. We all tried it. We all said, you know, this is gonna work. You know, maybe people might not want this, or change this, or add this. And we went through, like with the bakery as well. I mean, we made tamales. We made the bread at home, kind of to see, you know, this is gonna work. This might not work. You know, people might think that's not. It's not Mexican enough, so we kind of went through trial and error at the home before we.
So your test kitchen was the home.
It was a home. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of our recipes.
Did anyone in the family come up with a recipe for a bakery item or a restaurant item that has turned out to be a big hit?
I think one of the items that a lot of people like, it was made from our customers at the bakery. We sell tortas, and the customers would be like, you know what, give me a torta with everything, which is egg, steak, chicken, and ham. So we brought that torta to the new place to kind of give them you know, a shout out to our customers, like, you guys made this. So I think that's probably the only one that sticks out to me, is that torta that our customers made.
Yeah.
So we put it on our menu over there to kind of, you know, say, hey, this one's for you guys.
Yeah. And the restaurant opened, you said, last year?
Mm-hmm. December.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so it's
still new. Yeah.
We're still 5-6 month old business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How's it going so far?
Pretty good, steady. Those customers do support us. Essentially, it was made for them. So yeah, we're happy. We're all working there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how do y'all, as a family, divvy up responsibility over who works at which place and what hours? And
it's kind of, my parents did it, you know, it's to our strengths. My sister's a good cook. She works at the restaurant. I'm good at customer service, so I help with the front, you know, the cashiers. I help them out. My sister, she doesn't really like to deal with people, so she runs errands for the bakery, and, you know, she gets pretty much, we do a lot of shopping at farmers market. We get all our produce primarily from them.
The Buford farmers market.
Right.
Okay.
So, you know, she's an errand person. She gets all the supplies that we need and brings them back, and she'll share her time in the cash register, but not as much.
Okay.
And then my parents are primarily at the bakery because, I mean, it's all our team members are there as early as 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Mm.
So you mentioned 2 sisters. Is there a third sister?
There is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We all help. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The little one, she doesn't as much. She's only 15, so we're pushing her to want to join us, but
You are.
yeah,
Okay.
because she wants to be a chef, and we're like, this is we didn't have this when we were kids, so this is, if you want to be a chef, this is where you should start.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like leaning. She's like, oh, maybe you might be right, but it'll be up to her when she's ready to put it on herself to say, okay, I want to help. Where can I start?
So you mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
the restaurant was started to really accommodate the customers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
your loyal customers
Mm-hmm.
for the bakery.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier on, you talked about in 2006,
Mm-hmm.
the recession was about to start,
Mm-hmm.
and the construction work wasn't
Mm-hmm.
as available.
Right.
What impact did that have
Mm-hmm.
on the demographics
Mm-hmm.
of Hispanics in that area? Did that change the number of people in the area, or was there just turnover?
Mm-hmm. From what I can remember, we had a slow period. I do remember we had a slow period during that time where a lot of our customers weren't working. Like, you could see it. I mean, people weren't spending as much. They weren't going out as much. But one of the things that we do remember was, whatever little money or whatever money they did have, they would come and buy, milk, eggs, and bread from us.
Yeah.
So we remember that. I mean, our loyal customers are kind of what kept us from going under for, that period of time. We did see it, that there wasn't, not a lot of people were working. My father, eventually had to leave installing carpet because it wasn't working out anymore.
Yeah. So were there ever circumstances where, you had loyal customers and families who were regulars who just didn't have the money to afford some of the essentials? Do you ever remember encountering anything like that?
No, I think from what I see is that a lot of Hispanics are proud to where they might not ask for a handout. So if they did, they didn't show it.
Yeah.
I think it was just more keep it internally.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when you reflect back
Mm.
from really the first time you experienced Buford Highway and your first memories of playing Frogger from the
Oh, yeah.
from the market back to your apartment complex to opening the restaurant to now having or opening the bakery to now having two different businesses. How do you feel about that?
Well, personally, me, I feel like, this wasn't supposed to happen. It essentially can happen to anyone. I mean, it's not like we came with a blueprint to how to be successful. It's, you look back and how we started with, wearing donated clothes to not having any money to, you look back and you say, wow, our family, we made this happen. And you can't believe it because, we essentially came to live a better life, but we don't come from a rich family. We don't. We just didn't expect all this to happen. So you think about it, and it's really amazing. How far we've come in that period of time.
Yeah. Have you ever had an opportunity to sit back and reflect on it with your parents?
Yeah, every day. We talk about it every day. We're grateful for what, for everything. We talk about it every day, and we still live in the area.
Yeah. Where are y'all now? You don't have to give an address or anything, but what part of Buford Highway?
We're still in Dorville.
Dorville, okay.
Yeah. We don't see ourselves moving anytime soon. We really enjoy the area.
Yeah. And how would you describe the area now compared to, from when you were a kid? How has it changed?
I didn't really spend too much time in that area of Dorville. Our side was mainly Chamblee. I can't really make the I guess, the difference. But from what I see now, it's amazing. I mean, there's so much stuff going on in Doraville now. I mean, it's amazing that, you know, you have movies being filmed in Doraville. You have just so much money coming into Doraville. Like, they're trying to make it, you know, more beautiful, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of the things that I see now.
And Buford Highway in particular, what
Mm-hmm.
have you seen change in the area?
The businesses. I mean, in my photo album, you'll see McDonald's, you'll see some of the bigger retail stores that there are no longer there. The Kmart. Was there all the, you know, the more Americanized supermarkets? They're not there anymore. I mean, all the restaurants that we have now, just from really like every nationality that you can think of, they're all on Buford Highway.
Yeah. The people who come to Buford Highway, have you noticed any changes there?
It's still the same people, hardworking people.
Yeah.
Who are looking to get their piece of the American dream.
Yeah. Do you?
It's still the same, doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like what I've noticed in the apartments that are directly behind us, it's, you know, a family will get there, you know, they get their money and they move out. They might go somewhere else. And what I've noticed with the same thing is that they're all looking for the same, their piece of the American dream.
Yeah.
It doesn't change.
Yeah.
They all want the same, to provide for their children.
Yeah. And do you have any children yourself?
I do have 3.
3?
Mm-hmm.
How old are they?
3. My daughter, my son is 2, and then I have a 3-month-old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So busy house.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And what are your aspirations for them?
I think I do want them. You know, I have to place the same amount of strictness and that my parents placed on me, because, you know, my parents said, you know, we don't have a lot of money, but we do want you to go to college. We want you to be somebody, and I feel like I owe it to them, to my children, to do the same. You know, you guys have to work hard, go to college, be somebody, and you know, show my parents, although they're my parents, show them, you know, that we're thankful for everything that they did for us, because essentially it's all going to trickle down, you know, because of my parents. So it's kind of a way for us to give back and say, hey, thank you for what you did. We could have stayed in Mexico City, and who knows what we would have been doing now.
Yeah. What do you think you would be doing if you were in Mexico City today?
I have no idea. No idea.
Yeah.
It could have really be positive or negative. You don't know.
And you still have family in Mexico
We
City?
do. Mm-hmm. 90% of our family's still there.
Do you ever go back and interact with them?
Yeah, we just went back last year, and yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's obviously, you know, here we don't have a lot of family. We have a couple we have family now. Some of them eventually immigrated here and they've established. But, you know, having your grandparents, your cousins, your uncles, it's amazing. It's some of the things that we don't experience here every day. So when we went, it was all love.
Yeah. Your dad's still thanking them for the recipes.
He hasn't had a chance to go back because they're so busy.
Yeah.
But eventually they you know, they want to go back and see their parents. They haven't seen their parents in quite a while. Wow. Yeah, it's, I want to say like over 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Do they miss them?
Oh yeah, a lot. That's probably one of the things they want to do most.
Yeah. And do they have a chance to talk to them on the phone?
Yeah, they do.
Or FaceTime?
No, not FaceTime. It's kind of sad because they don't want to see them like that unless it's in person. I think it'd be too hard on them. You know, they haven't seen them in years, so it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. How do your parents describe their parents?
Well, sadly, my father's parents, they passed away. His father passed away when he was younger. His mother just passed away recently. So, from my father, I know he said his parents were strict, but it's only because, they didn't have a lot, so it was kind of, you have to do things right on the first time. But he's thankful for everything that they taught him. They taught him how to work hard, how to think smart, how to think outside the box, how to make it. And my mother's parents, I know them personally, and she's always talking about, how they're also hardworking as well. They're very loving grandparents. When we went, although we didn't, we weren't raised there, they were very loving to us. My children love them too.
Yeah. How did your dad handle hearing that your grandmother had passed?
He took it hard.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, he was here and he couldn't do anything. He hadn't seen her in probably over 20 years. He didn't get to say what he wanted to say, before.
Yeah.
So it was really hard on him.
What do you think he would have said to her?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I think it would be hard to explain.
Yeah.
That's probably just conversation for them too. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot about your parents and the amazing impact they've had on your life and your sister's lives.
Right.
We talked about your old football coach.
Yeah, I think my sisters also have a person that kind of stuck out to them, but yeah, he's influential in my life.
Yeah. Who is this person that your sisters are close with?
Okay. Yeah. We would have to ask them to see. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a break for a minute, and so we can flip through some of these pictures.
Okay.
This is Scene Park. This is a continuation of my interview with Oscar Barrera for We Love Buhai's Oral History Project. On this part of the interview, we are planning to speak about some pictures that Oscar has brought with him of his childhood and some of his fondest memories. So this first picture we're looking at is of a little girl sitting in a what looks like an apartment living room with a bunch of mismatched furniture. Oscar, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So the girl in the picture, it's my sister, Berlin. Yeah. Most of the mismatched furniture comes from just picking up furniture on the street. Even the curtains, I really remember those because those are handmade curtains from fabric that my mother found. To be honest, probably I can point out 3 items that we bought new. Everything else was pretty much some other person's trash. But it was our stuff. So.
And in this next picture, we're looking at a young boy and looks like a little sister and maybe an older sister with Sylvester the cat. Can you tell us a little about this one? Yeah,
this was taken at Six Flags with my Providence cheer shirt that I love so much. It's amazing how I got by so many years with that shirt. I think this is where it happened, where it actually got pointed out to me that it was a cheerleading shirt. But, this is all I had, so.
So after you had it pointed out to you...
I think I stopped wearing it. But, this is all I had. This was my favorite shirt at the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And then let's talk about this picture here. We're looking at what looks like a blue sports coupe with in a parking lot with what looks like a brick duplex in the background. What is that?
So it's Head Start. it was conjoined with other, I guess, apartment homes for low-income families. You know, they would send their kids there. I attended that school for about 2 years before heading to kindergarten. Yeah, I was there for about 2 years. We all went through, actually. My oldest sister, myself, and then the other girl you see in the picture, we all went through there.
And that's still there as far as you know?
It's still there. I'm not sure if it's still Head Start, but yeah, I mean, I have a lot of memories of that place.
Yeah.
Well, I learned a lot there.
Yeah.
Good folks there, yeah.
That's great. And then now we are looking at a picture of a young woman. She looks like she's maybe 8, 9 years old, and she has what looks like a headscarf on in front of a white background that might be a makeshift sheet. Can you tell us a little bit about this picture?
Sure. So this picture was taken at Dresden Elementary. I'm guessing for like Cultural Awareness Month or something. Compared to her other siblings, my sister's kind of darker skin because of my father. So she says that the staff at Dresden kind of dressed her up in Indian garments because they thought she was Indian. And she brought the picture back home, and we've been laughing at it ever since. She showed it to my mother, and we all just laughed.
Did your sister at the time know what was happening?
No, I mean, it's... I've cried at this picture, I'll be honest with you. I've cried at this picture a couple of times because, in our family, she's the first one to go to school, to go to college, to pretty much experience everything for the first time. So when I looked at it, I cried. I said, my sister went through that. And she probably didn't even know what it meant, but, she looks at it now, she laughs. She laughs it off. Yeah.
And in this last picture, it looks like we're looking at a woman sitting behind a counter of a bakery with a rolling cart with a bunch of bread sitting on it, and there's a woman standing in front of her at the counter. Can you tell us about this picture?
Yeah, so this was taken at the bakery when we first opened. We took a picture. Everything is empty. I mean, I think we might have a couple of trays inside the bakery display cases, but yeah, this is when we first opened.
And this is when times were
tough. Yeah, we didn't know if we were I guess gonna stay in business. Yeah, this is before this is where it all started. Yeah.
So who is the
my mother?
Okay, and
my oldest sister.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. This was like probably the first week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Oscar, thank you so much for your time, the interview, and opening up your life and your family's lives for the project, and also sharing with us these just absolutely wonderful pictures. Thank you so much.
Thank you.